Welcome to OSSB Inside and Out, a podcast about staff member and alumni experiences at the Ohio State School for the Blind. Each week, we interview someone from the Ohio State School for the Blind about their experiences. Now here's your host, Brendon Hamblin.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. On this episode, I have Macy McClain, a graduate of OSSB. And what year did you graduate, Macy?
Technically I graduated in 2009, but because of the Tournament of Roses parade, I was able to stay an extra year, and I officially got my diploma in 2010. A little confusing, I know, but I walked in 2009, had my graduation party, but actually got my real diploma in 2010.
Aha, so they let you stay for the Tournament of Roses parade.
Yeah, that wasn't the only reason why I wanted to stay. I also just decided to take an extra year, and it was a really good decision for me because in high school I had seizures a lot, and that hurt my grades and my academics. And also, too, I did not do as well as I wanted to the first time on the ACT, so I took that extra year to really raised my score up a lot, which was fantastic. And then I also passed some more sections of the OGT and got some more help with that, which was really, really great, really great. So all in all, it was a good year, even though it was an extra year.
Well, at least it was a good year. That always helps.
Yeah, absolutely. No kidding.
So you started at OSSB what year?
I believe it was 2001.
So
I think I was barely 11. I had turned 11 on September 19th, 2001. So going in, I think it was like, usually school starts at the end of August.
Right.
So I was 10, and then my fifth grade year was 2001. And I started going on 10, going on 11. So.
Aha. So you were there for a good while.
Yes. Yeah.
So are there any memories or events? I know you were at the Tournament of Roses parade. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else other than the Tournament of Roses parade that sticks out in your mind? You can touch on the Tournament of Roses parade if you want. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, of course. Oh man, you're making me think, and you're showing my age too. This is bad. So
my memory's about the same there. So
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, definitely the Rose Parade, which I'll touch on it in just a second. I know I think the biggest thing for me was my mother and I had gone, and this was before I started attending OSSB, right. And we had just sat in the classes of I believe it was the 3rd and 4th grade. And so apparently from what my mom had said in an article that she wrote, which I would be happy to send you if I can find it, and you can put a link to that in the show notes. But she had said in that article that I had seemed to be academically above everyone in that grade. So we visited the 5th and 6th grade class, and we just kind of got the lay of the land of how OSSB works and how the School for the Blind, operates and what they do and how they manage everything from house parents, the cottage life, activities, things like that. My mom has heard countless horror stories before we even decided to take a trip down to Columbus. And we also had to rework some of our plans. So, for example, I was not a day student because I live in Buff Fountain, and that's an hour west of Columbus.
Right.
So my schedule, how it ended up working was I never went to the school on Sunday evenings and came home on Friday. So what I did and I think this happened throughout my whole time at the school pretty much, was my mom's best friend lives in my town, but she worked in Columbus at the time.
Okay.
And so she would take me to school on Monday morning and get me there for breakfast at 7:30, I think it was. I don't know if it's still 7:30.
It used to be 7:30. I don't know if it is anymore. Well, granted, right now, kids are all at home, so...
Yeah, that's true. So it's
When
kind of a moot point because of the pandemic.
Right. When I graduated, it was still 7:30, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's been like that for a while. So I would get there at around 7:30 for breakfast. And then I would stay until Wednesday afternoon. And how my mom worked it out was that she would get off of work at around 2 or 2:30 and then come straight to Columbus to pick me up. I would come home on Wednesday, get up at like dark 30 in the morning on Thursday, where my dad would drop me off before going to work.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah. And then I would come home on Friday. So this means that I would spend at least 2 nights at home, 3 nights at home, or 3 nights at the school rather than the traditional Sunday through Thursday.
Right.
Which was nice because I got to see my family and got to do a bunch of stuff. So it was good. I think I didn't like it at first. Actually, honestly, I mean, what kid doesn't like getting up early? So
right.
I didn't like it for that reason, but it turned out really, really well. And I think it was a good system now that I'm older and I think about it more. Because, lots of people are day students at the school and other people are just like, oh, I'm going to just stay from Sunday to Thursday. And nothing wrong with whatever plan you had.
Right.
Also,
Exactly.
too, I think one of the memories that I have, I don't know if this is a good memory or a bad memory. You can ask Dan Kelly. But I had just started at the school. I think I was in 5th or 6th grade, one of the two. And I had Mr. Kelly, and he got on me because I would not follow directions. And so he would always yell at me to follow directions. And for the longest time, I hated his guts. I wanted nothing to do with him. Nothing. He was super impatient, everything. So, but honestly, it was really good because my school district back home did not have the tools or the people knowledgeable enough to help me learn the technology that I had at the time, which was a Braille light and other things like that, and a computer. I had to relearn how to type because my typing was atrocious.
Right.
I remember using Talking Typer, which I thought that was the worst program. It was use this thumb to strike this, or use this index finger to strike the J key. And I'm like, that's nice, but which one is that?
Right.
It just didn't. Typing ASDF
Simple.
just with monotonous frequency was just a lot. It's just ASDF. Okay, great. Do that a billion more times. And then you're going to do something else.
Right.
I couldn't do it. I would rip my hair out now. But no, the technology was fantastic. Thankfully, I was a Braille reader and still am. But they had and still have great Braille. And I was very lucky to be in a school that had good Braille everywhere. And so that was really, really good for me. Yeah, just lots of different things. Sports was big. I remember I did not want to do forensics, which is public speaking.
Right.
And that was really good for me. My parents kind of forced me to do certain things that I really did not want to do. I didn't know I wanted to do track. I hate running, personally.
Me too. I can agree.
Yeah. And I was more of a long distance runner. So when I did track, I didn't do things like the 60-meter dash. No. I did the 1200 co-ed tandem one year. I did an 800 girls tandem with a class C, and I was class A.
Right.
I did the 1200 on the wires. So that's 10 laps, I think it is. I did triple jump, long jump. 3 con a little bit, which is the 3 consecutive jump.
Right.
I never really did shot put, nothing like that. So, yeah, I was definitely more of a long distance runner than just a sprinter, which in some ways I kind of liked that a little better because I felt like I could pace myself rather than just like, oh, you're going to go out for 60 meters and then you're done.
Right.
But at the same time, it was just grueling. Like, I hated it. But yeah, and then, forensics, I didn't really want to do it. I felt like it just was not a good fit for me. But it actually ended up really helping me a lot because through forensics, I was able to grow as a public speaker and just as a speaker in general. I'm a very opinionated person. And chances are, if you tell me not to do something, I will probably do it anyway just to prove a point. And I hate.
I can
but
understand
on the flip
that.
side, yeah. But on the flip side, I'm also like not very confrontational, and so it kind of just is really hard for me. But at the same time, I think that forensics has really helped me to be a better advocate for myself and be more assertive. And Dan Kelly was my coach starting out, which was awesome. And I remember reading something by Walter Mitty. I can't remember what it was, but it was really, really cool. It was really fun. I really liked the humorous prose category. That was a lot of fun. I actually placed first one year throughout all of conference and got this charter award. And then in 2007, I think it was 2006 or 2007, I was outstanding forensic speaker for my school. And it was fantastic. I really grew from that. As a person who didn't want to do it, I really understood the importance of public speaking and how forensics can play just a small part in that. And
Right.
I thought that was really, really good. I also really liked swimming when Mrs. Shaw was still the swim coach. She really got me to face the block and dive off the block rather than the side of the pool, even though I was like scared out of my mind. And I was also a long distance swimmer for the most part. I did the 200, I did the 500. I hated the 500. I hated it. The 200, that wasn't that bad. 500, no, I hated it. I had to do the 100 butterfly, which I also hated because, as we all know, I don't know if these rules still apply for NCISB or whatever they are using nowadays.
I believe it's still in CASB, yeah.
Yeah. But you have to touch the wall at exactly the same time with both of your hands, otherwise you get disqualified. So I don't know if they have to be in the same placement, but that was really interesting. And then just, all the memories of just the trips, even the stupid ones where I got caught by Jeff Shaw once when I had my cell phone. And he yelled at me and told me to take it inside and put it in my locker when I couldn't call my family. And we were going to like Tennessee or something, and that was horrible.
That's Mr. Shaw for you.
Oh man. And even just like vending was fun. Like, I think my favorite part of it was working in the canteen. Like, that was the best. Stocking the shelves, no. Working in the canteen, every time he told me, I'm like, yes, I get to open the canteen, but there's like no one to help because like everyone was either in class or something like that. So it was fun. Do they still have that at the school, by the way?
Yeah, it's in the new building by the front office. Obviously, it's not in the old building. They still use the old canteen they used to use the old canteen for the concerts. When we had concerts, which may be a thing of the past now, unfortunately.
Yeah. I remember even just like memories at the cottages, just all the different activities, going to the mall. I loved going to like places like Easton, where Erica Cooper at the time, she was a youth leader, and she's really sweet, and I really like her a lot. I miss her. And just a bunch of other people, like we would all like go to different places, and I would always want to go to Starbucks and just like hang out and all this other stuff. Like, hey, let me venture out on my own,
Right.
So that was fun. Oh man, just having bonding time in the cottages. Like, I made so many good friendships with girls, even just older girls. I remember this girl named Rhonda. She's married now, but at the time her name was Rhonda Garrison, and she would always help me with my math. And it was just really sweet. just lots of people that were like in the varsity choir that just as an elementary kid, I just kind of looked up to, and I just thought they were the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
Having English with Mrs. Wilson, I miss her. I'm so glad that she's still around.
English with Mrs. Wilson was the best.
I know. And even just like having outside talks when I found out that she was a Christian, and she really was instrumental in my faith, and just even just in a school that did separation of church and state. Oh man, I remember countless times with Miss Boyce in her office, looking at college applications, ACT accommodations, her reading tests to me. Oh man, so many things. I remember hanging out with Ann Paluski and just her writing letters of recommendation for me for college placements, having her help me with certain things, just a lot of different things. There are too many memories, some good and some bad, but they all shape how I learned. And in some ways, I wish I could go back to some of them and just go to the school and ask questions. Like, for example, I took a very, very difficult math class this past fall, and a lot of it was like geometry and a bunch of things. And I just wish I had Miss Thayer. Well, now she's Miss Moore, but she's been Mrs. Moore for a while.
Yep.
I just wish I had her and like her little shapes that she would bring out, and just that would just be able to help me out a lot. And I just kind of miss that. I miss having the people that, or at least some of the teachers that I could, ask for support and things like that. But I know that I'm still good friends with some of them, like Mr. Kelly and Mrs. Wilson and Mrs. Agler, and just a bunch of other people who I know that will have my back, and I'll have theirs as well, which is really, really great.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Let's touch base on the Rose Parade. That was a big deal for us, or for the marching band and the school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happened, and how did that trip all go?
So do you want me to start at the very beginning when we got the call, or do you want me to start when like we got to California?
I'll let you decide.
Oh man. So my recollections on some of this stuff is a little shady at this point, because I kept a journal at some point about my experiences and what was going on. And I've written several thank you letters to people that have supported us with fundraising and just a bunch of other things.
Right.
So I just remember being in the gym one day. I think it was for some sort of a pep rally. And I remember hearing that we were going to the Rose Parade. I couldn't hear all of it because it was on speaker and I wasn't quite sure what was going on.
Right.
But I know we were all really, really excited. And that really was a great moment for all of us. And I know some people thought, oh, they just picked us because we're blind. And growing up with people that did not think that we were amazing and inspirational in an organization that believes in the capacities of blind people, I just felt like this was not true. And I just think that, okay, they picked us because, not just because we're blind, but because we have something to show people. That right. Just because we're blind, we can do things, that we are out in our communities, we can make differences in people's lives, going above being an inspiring person on TV. And just having that attitude really kind of helped shape my experience. So I really appreciated it. And all of the people that helped, whether it was through fundraising or contributions like marching assistants and people that just really made it what it was. I just want to thank you guys. I know it's 10 years after, but that shouldn't matter. Your contributions of any kind do not go unnoticed.
Right.
And so it was really fun. I had the pleasure of having Laura Smith as my marching assistant, so that was really cool.
And she's still with the marching band, so that's
yes, she is.
That's dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I think we've had several talks about music education and where she went to school, and it'd be great to just catch up with her again. I mean, it's been a while since I've helped at the band camp, and I think that would be really, really good if I could go and just see everyone again. And I don't know when that's going to happen, though.
Right. Nobody does.
Not anytime soon, obviously, with this pandemic, but
right.
I just don't know with my future and everything with graduating and all that stuff.
Right.
But no, the Rose Parade was really cool. I was really happy to get to be a part of any and all of it. I think the best part for me, besides the parade itself, was BandFest, but it was a certain part of it. When all 4 bands got together to play Beautiful Ohio, that was honestly a surreal moment. Just all of this energy and the spirit of our Buckeye State, it was just really, really powerful. And I loved it. It was fantastic. Not to mention, I was the only piccolo player in a whole sea of brass, which was really cool. So
right.
I could be kind of the odd one out, which was awesome. But no, it was really cool just to have all 4 bands from Ohio representing the Buckeye State, making that whole state proud. It was really, really fun. My parents went. They weren't able to see me a lot just because it was more expensive for them to do what we were doing.
Right.
But it was really, really cool. Everything was great. The Rose Parade was really good. It rained a lot. I wish the weather would have cooperated a bit more, and I wish it would have been a little warmer. But it was good. Staying up was not the greatest. The California time at the time was not very good. The last time I was in the Pacific time zone was this past summer in July when I went to Las Vegas, and that was hard on my body. So
your body had to readjust.
Yeah, absolutely. So all in all, it was just a really great experience. I can't highlight one event because everything was just really, really good. And just from the parade itself to getting In-N-Out burgers, which are so amazing. So amazing.
I've heard that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they're so good. They're so much better than McDonald's. Oh. Anything's better than McDonald's.
That's what I was going to say. What's not better than McDonald's?
Oh man,
Wendy's
it was
Wendy's
fantastic.
is better than McDonald's.
Yes, getting to see the floats as they were being made, going to Universal Studios in California. It was just, everything was really great. Even just getting Starbucks with Aaron Barkus and just all the crazy things and people telling me to drink water to be hydrated when all I wanted was coffee, and just being a rebellious, how old was I? Almost 19? Yeah, something like that. But no, it was really fun. Yeah, it was really good. And I think one of the coolest things on the way back was I got a first class seat and I didn't have to pay for it, which was awesome. So it was really cool. It was me and another marching assistant, and got the extra leg room, and I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. It was nice. I don't have that luxury anymore because first class tickets are very expensive. So
I can imagine.
But no, all in all, it was a great experience, and I wish I could do it again. I wish that I could have gone to the Washington Parade or marched in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Although I went there, I don't know if we'll ever go back because it was freezing. But it was cool. My dad was just like, yeah, we're not doing that again.
That's New York in November for you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I love New York. Wouldn't want to live there because of the astronomical expense of it all, but
right.
It's really great. I've got friends all over New York.
And we were the only marching band to get a tour of how the floats for the Pasadena Rose Parade were made or put together.
Yeah, that's right. I think I'm pretty sure that was right, because since everything was all visual, it just made sense that we were able to see that type of stuff. Right. And, back then we didn't have things like Be My Eyes or Ira or, anything like that. I didn't even have an iPhone at the time.
Right.
So, no, it was cool to just see how everything was made. And I had a program of all of the floats and all of the different things for the whole Tournament of Roses Parade in 2010 that came from the Braille Institute in Los Angeles. I don't know where that is, because when I had gotten it, we were living in a different house and we moved 4 years later. So I don't know what that is. And I wonder if maybe I could call them and say, hey, do you guys still have this? If so, can you emboss it and I'll pay for it or something?
Right.
It would just be a really nice memento, because all the things I volunteer at now, it's like, hey, you want a print program? And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, yeah, I'll read it, but I'm not going to be able to keep it.
Right.
So that Braille thing was really cool. I know I read that through a couple of times. It was really fun.
If I remember right, OSSB had large print and Braille versions of the program all over the place. After the band got back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they had large print. I know I got Braille since I don't read large print. For those who don't know my eye condition, I have retinopathy of prematurity, and I don't have any functional vision. I have a little bit of light perception, but it doesn't really help with anything like crossing a street or anything like that. So I am a Braille reader and a technology user and things like that, and I don't use things like large print or magnification.
Right. I've got the same disease you do, and I've got vision in my left eye, and none in my right. So.
Okay, that's true.
So, since graduating, what all have you been up to? Sounds like there's a plethora of stuff that you've been involved with and what have you.
Yeah, so after graduating, I went to Wright State University for about a year and a quarter at the time, because at the time they were on quarter systems. They didn't switch to the semester system until 2012. I decided to major in music education. That last year that I had talked about, staying that extra year at OSSB certainly helped. But I know for a lot of things, I still didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Right.
Not to say that it wasn't a good experience, because it was, but also at the same time, Wright State wanted me to learn Braille music, and I didn't really have a very good set of teachers that really kind of showed me, hey, this is what you need to do. Like, this is what this means. I know I had taken lessons with Don Haynes when I was younger, but I don't know if I really progressed in that area. So I did that for a while and didn't do as well as I wanted, unfortunately. I also just had a lot of different experiences, bad roommates and things like that. And so I ended up leaving for a while. I didn't return, but
that's understandable.
So I did that. Yeah. And so I thought, well, maybe this is not what I should be doing. I don't really know. There's nothing else that I would rather do besides teaching music, because music is a universal language.
Right.
And studies have shown that people who play music are more likely to do well in academics than someone who doesn't, and just a lot of different factors. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do music education, besides just teaching it and just getting the enjoyment aspect out of it. So after Wright State, I took a little bit of time off. And then in 2013, I went to the Louisiana Center for the Blind, which is a training center, one of 3 training centers affiliated with an organization that I've been involved in since about 1993 called the National Federation of the Blind.
Aha.
And they teach LCB and the other training centers teach the philosophy of the organization. And so I went to that from about mid-February until November of 2013. I graduated and still was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do. I had thought about going into the field of information technology because I love computers and I'm a nerd and everything like that. And when I was at LCB, I had an instructor and he was very nice, very technical, very, very smart. And I was studying at the time for my one of the Cisco certifications. I can't remember which one. I think it was a networking one or something like that. And so I was reading all the materials and I just had a bunch of questions, and my instructor would explain things in such a way that it was really, really technical.
Right.
And so I just asked him to try to explain it in a simpler way, because if I don't understand something in a way that someone explains it, it's just easier for me to try to think of it in a different way and try to apply it to something in a real life context.
Right.
So I asked him to, and I felt like he just didn't do a very good job at that. And some teachers are good at that and some aren't, and nothing against him for that. And, I would ask him a question about certain things and he would just tell me, figure it out. And so I just felt like I did not want to do something if I was not getting the proper instruction and how to do something like IT. Also, I was looking at certain colleges, community colleges, and a couple of just universities. And a lot of them had said that you have to have a lot of math prerequisites. And I've always struggled with math. I'm not good at math at all.
Me neither.
And so, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's a spatial thing or just some people are just blessed with mathematical abilities. I'm not. So
me neither.
You would think that I should be because I'm musical, but that doesn't really, I don't know.
Right.
Anyway.
I don't know how it works either.
Yeah, me either. So I kind of scrapped the IT idea and I decided, well, I don't know if I want to do music ed. Performance is really hard because you kind of have to know a bunch of people and, I don't want to go into debt.
Right.
For a degree that I can't really use. At the time, I wasn't thinking about going into debt anyway. So I had just decided after a phone conversation in November with my dad that we both decided that worship would be a good avenue. He's like, you're good with people. You love people, you sing really well, you play really well, all these different things. And so I'm like, okay. And so I reached out on Facebook and I'm like, anyone have any good colleges in Ohio? I don't really want to go anywhere else. And so people had given me some good schools in Ohio and surrounding areas like Kentucky. And a few people had said Cedarville University.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, okay. And the year before, in 2011 or 12, I was at a women's retreat with me and one of my friends, and she was going to Sinclair Community College at the time.
Okay.
And somebody was telling us about Cedarville. And I looked at the person and I'm like, what's Cedarville? Can you tell me more? I'm kind of interested. And they're like, oh, it's a Christian university. And I'm like, why would I want to go to a Christian university? Are we back in the civil rights movement? What are we doing? Why should I have to go to a segregated school? Like, is this like black versus white drinking fountains now? Like, what is this? Like, are you serious? I mean, and at the time, I didn't really know much about Christian education. And so I'd grown up like going to church and doing all the right things and going through the motions and everything. And, my parents, they're not religious people by any stretch, and they admit that. And they're kind of, I don't want to say nominal Christians, but they go like on Christmas sometimes or Easter or things like that. But they just really wanted me to go to church because they wanted their daughter to have these experiences and use her talents in just a good way. Maybe not a way that glorifies God. I mean, that was what I had hoped for later, but I don't think they were thinking that way. So I found out more about Cedarville, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to go. Like, if they're private, they're going to be more. Like, I could pay less and go somewhere else. But then I'm thinking, well, it's a worship degree. It's not like it's an engineering degree where you can go to a school that you can actually afford and pay for it.
Right.
So I was also looking at court reporting, and I like arguing, but I don't honestly see myself going into law school or becoming a lawyer, because law school is extremely expensive. And yes, court reporters make way more than a worship leader, but I just didn't want to have a job just because of the money factor.
Right.
My dad's an accountant, so he really kind of emphasizes the importance of being financially secure and having a comfortable lifestyle. So I decided to apply to Cedarville initially, and I didn't get in, which was frustrating, but I wasn't shocked. My GPA from Wright State wasn't as good either. So I decided, okay, maybe I should go to a community college and raise my GPA and see what's going to happen. So I enrolled at Clark State Community College in Springfield, which, if you're going to do anything before you go to a university, I would highly recommend going to some sort of a community college. At first, when I started going there, I'm like, this is for dumb people. Like, I'm smarter than this. And boy, was I proved wrong.
Right. You had all those misleading thoughts and doubts and what have you.
Yeah, all the misconceptions and myths about community college.
Right.
And it was really cheap on my wallet. And it was good. The only thing I would say, and I don't know if anything has changed since I've been at Clark State, is because they are a community college, their disabilities office was not as good as I had hoped. And I don't know if it's just because they don't get as much funding or they just have a smaller budget. I mean, it could be a number of things. I don't want to blame it on somebody, but I know the director of the Office of Accessibility Services, which it was called at the time, I don't know what it is now.
Right.
Who unfortunately no longer works there. He was really, really good. And the fact that he had a disability was really, really great too. He has CP and he has crutches and he runs like 5 miles a day and he's crazy and he's really nice and he's very political and just everything. So I think he really tried his best to give me the accommodations I needed. I really had to push hard from some book publishers in order to get approval of getting books in electronic format, which people in the accessibility office were very upset about. But honestly, everyone did their best. Was it perfect? No. But it, did everything that I needed and it was fine. I mean, it could have been a lot better, but it was good. I got a lot of my classes done. A philosophy class, some other things. It was good. And it worked out really well because my dad worked in Springfield and he would take me every day that I had class. Sometimes I would have class 2 days a week. Some days I would have it 3 days a week. And others I would just go there 5 days a week. And on the days I didn't have class, I would just work on homework and study and do other things like that. So he would take me and he would have to go to Clark State, which is on the other side of Springfield. And so he would drop me off and I would stay there and do my classes and eat lunch in the cafeteria and just hang out there until my dad picked me up. And then I would leave and go home every day and work on homework. And then on the days when I didn't have class and that I wasn't going in, I would just stay home and do homework. And it worked out really well. So I did that for about 2 years. I know one summer I took a couple of summer classes. I hated it. I really didn't like it. I hate summer classes. I wanted to enjoy my summers off because I know you don't get those when you're working. So
Right.
it was just it was kind of frustrating. And also at the time we had just gotten puppies, and I loved it because I would come home and I would see our dogs and they would just be so excited to see me. And it was just adorable. A good reason to just come home every day. And just, I always tell people that when I move out of my house and get an apartment or a house or get married or something like that, I'm always going to have some sort of dog. A house is just so lonely without it.
Exactly.
So after Clark State, I decided to my very last or next to last semester, I decided to take an official tour of Cedarville. I had been to Cedarville, I think, once before that. I think for some sort of conference or something like that. So I took a tour and I met a worship professor, and she was super sweet, and I got to sing with her. She still is super sweet. I got to sing with her, and it was really fun. And she told me about this Worship 424 conference. And I'm like, ooh, that's really nice. But is it really expensive? Because I don't really have a ton of money to be paying a gazillion dollars for a conference. And she's like, well, tell you what, you're going to come for free, and I'm going to find you a place to sleep. And I'm just like, oh, you're amazing. Like, seriously, that's so great. So she did. And it worked out really well. This was after my tour, and I just had a really good experience at Cedarville. I went for my tour, and I was really nervous because being a Christian school, I knew that they wouldn't get government funding, which doesn't really matter to me. But at the same time, I was nervous because I felt like I was not going to get the academic support that I was going to need, especially in regards to accommodations.
Right.
But the disabilities compliance coordinator really put my mind at ease with everything. And so that was really, really good. And I was really happy about that. And I told her, I'm just like, listen, I don't know everything, so you're going to have to be patient with me. And I'll be patient with you as we try to figure out all these things. And no, so that was really good. I called the day before and asked if I could get chapel lyrics, and I did, which was really, really good. And so everyone was just super friendly and accommodating and just really great, and just really went out of their way to like help me and make sure that I had a good visit and really answered all my questions that I had, which was really, really, really good. So I did attend the Worship 424 conference, and that also kind of just sealed my decision to come to Cedarville. And so that was a really good way for me to get exposure and to see how does the worship sector of the music and worship department do things and things like that. So I applied to Cedarville and I got in, and then I believe it was February of 2015, I auditioned for the music and worship department and got some really nice scholarships, and got in, and that was really good. And so I was really excited. I picked up my dorm. I had a roommate that I'd met, really nice person. And so everything was great. I can say, just to kind of wrap this question up, I had overall a really good time at Cedarville. It was not perfect, and nothing is ever perfect.
Exactly.
I've had a lot of good memories at Cedarville. The hardest thing has been the pandemic with COVID-19 and just everything being postponed and all of this stuff. And it's just been really crazy. But all of the memories, especially the good ones, really outweigh the bad. I remember just being in tutoring, crying over something with math. And I, just had to do all these different math courses and just talking with a bunch of people about just day-to-day things. And sometimes I hate being blind, and sometimes this isn't fair, and just a lot of different things. I had a lot of professors in my Bible minor classes, which for every student at Cedarville, you were required to have a Bible minor. That really just kind of like tried, at least to the best of their ability,
Right.
to really like answer my big life questions. I don't know if they always did a good job, but they are not God. And so I really kind of appreciated like all the different life experiences, all the good talks, the few kicks in the butt sometimes,
Right.
just all the good times, just going into our academic enrichment center and just venting about a professor who was not willing to work with me and just not have things accessible. It was really strange to give up my reins a little bit to have people advocate for me rather than me advocate for myself.
Right.
But it just really shows the care and compassion that a Christian community should have and to look out for other people. In, I think it's Philippians 2, it talks about how we should be looking out for other people's interest rather than our own. And so I think Cedarville does a really good job with that. And just the times being in chapel, even just having friends outside of my circle of friends who are blind that can just, hey, you have a stain on your shirt, or hey, you have toothpaste on your face, or
Right.
something like that. And even just like having shenanigans, going to Taco Bell at like 2 a.m, staying out for curfew, going to Bill's and having a late night Bill's run. Bill's Donuts is amazing. I would highly recommend you go. It's in Centerville. It's so good. Just a lot of different things. Scanning people into our cafeteria, getting endless amounts of coffee at our coffee shop on campus, and dreaming of one day when there would be a Chick-fil-A. Sad that I will not see that come to fruition because it will be finished. It will be finished by summer, which I'm very excited. So, no, all in all, it was a great experience at Cedarville. I don't agree with everything there, but who doesn't? And you can't put a price tag on the Christian community. I do wish that Cedarville were a little cheaper, but you got to figure they're also a private school. So, but also because of that, financial aid was a lot more open and willing to work with people. And I just really thought that was a blessing. They helped me at some really crazy times. And so I'm super, super thankful. I'm going to miss all of my profs and all of my friends, not the homework, obviously.
Who misses really? Right. Who misses homework?
I know. It's been so weird trying to do homework amidst this pandemic and staying at home. It's just really odd.
I can imagine.
But no, it was, I'm going to miss everything and everyone about it, but hopefully I will be back in October for our homecoming and parents weekend when they will be celebrating the class of 2020. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if I will be able to be back because I had an internship lined up for the summer. And unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, it fell through due to the coronavirus and the pastor not wanting to be held liable for potentially getting someone sick, which is unfortunate because it was a fantastic internship. I'm looking for internships currently right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they say no. I've had some no's because of the pandemic, but I'm praying, hoping, crossing every extremity that I can that my internship in Florida will work out as planned, but in the fall. And the upside will be that I will be able to get to celebrate my birthday on the beach, which will be fantastic.
Sounds like it.
Absolutely.
Going back to OSSB after we went away from OSSB.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all right. I went that way. I went that direction. But we can go back. Were you only in marching band or were you in choir as well?
No, I was in choir as well. Actually, that was one of the other things I wanted to talk about. In your first episode with Mrs. Aguilar, I remember her, and it took her jogging my memory to remind me of this when we went to I think it was Disneyland. I think it was.
Disneyland
Yeah, because Disneyland is in California and Disney World's in Florida, right?
Yep.
Okay. I always get the two mixed up. So I remember going there and we had this really cool jazz session with this trombonist. It was really fantastic. That was really fun. And then our choir performing, and me, Misty Hatcher, Sam Shepard, and Julian Brooks sang with one voice. And it was just really, really cool. I think that song is a really great song that harnesses the capacity and the importance of community, and that we have this one voice and that we can show people that we are strong and resilient, and that we can show people the capabilities of those people with disabilities. And yeah, it's a great song. I wish we would have recorded it somehow, because
right.
it was great. I love that song. And I remember hearing the song actually on an old OSSB CD that I used to have, and it was with the varsity choir with Shawana Griffin and Lacey Hughes. Now she's Lacey Hughes Miller, and a bunch of other people, and that was really fun too. But it was a great time.
It sounds like it. We went to Disney World and the Outback Bowl at the beginning of this year before all this thing blew up.
Yes.
That was
and then y'all went to the beach. I was so jealous. Like, you guys went to this and then you went to the beach, and I'm like, what? You guys, come on now. Seriously?
Right.
Man, so fun though. Oh.
Yeah, it was fun. I went along as the photographer and social media specialist, so I didn't play.
Aww.
I've graduated from marching band uniform to assistant uniform. So
nice.
Which felt extremely weird.
Awesome. So did you actually have a specific uniform that you had to wear? Or could you just wear whatever you wanted?
For the parade, I was in the red jacket and black slacks, white shirt, and black tie that we typically wear. And
got it.
For anything else, it was just whatever I packed.
Okay. Nice. So you really had some freedom to just kind of express yourself in that way. That's cool.
Right. And
nice.
I was on banner, so I didn't have to guide anybody.
Oh, cool. Nice. So you were kind of just the caboose of everything then? Or were people behind you?
They were behind the banners. They were behind the banner. So we were the leaders.
Oh, okay. So the band was behind you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay. Nice.
And then...
That's awesome.
Yep. And then after, going into after I graduated from OSSB, I went to the Ohio Media School in Whitehall for television and radio broadcast. And after that, it was a 9-month program, so about the same time as high school. And I graduated from OSSB in May of 16, and I graduated from the media school in March of 17. So it was a short time. But anyways.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you have like an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, or what do you have?
I'm honestly not sure.
Or is it like a certificate, or?
It's I think it's a certificate of, I'm not exactly sure what it's called. It's a diploma of some sort.
Okay, fantastic.
And after I graduated, I got a job at WMRN up here in Marion, and worked there from May of 17 until January of this year, when they let all of us part-timers go, unfortunately.
Oh, man. So did you get paid, or did they not have enough money in their budget to pay you guys?
They were restructuring the company, so they laid off all the part-time employees and are doing our jobs without us. Granted, we didn't really have a job other than to run local sports like high school football games and basketball games. They had taken away
Gotcha.
the running of the Indians. Well, we had up until we stopped running NASCAR. We had high school sports and NASCAR to run. Nothing else. We didn't run OSU anything, Indians, or the Bengals. They took all the syndicated sports away from us from running. So
oh man, wow.
They automated it. And
gotcha.
Since then, I've been working on the podcast, which was started before they let us go. And thankfully, WMRN is hosting my podcast for me. So there's
wow. So they're like hosting it on their servers then, or
they're hosting
like
it
a
on
feed or something?
They're hosting it on their station Spreaker account. So
oh, very nice. Cool.
So yeah. But
wow, that's great.
At least I have time to do whatever I want now that I can't do anything because of the whole pandemic. But
yeah, it's kind of a nice problem to have, but at the same time, it's like, what are you going to do? But then it's like on the flip side, it's like, I have so much to do. I don't know where to start.
Right. And then there's the other flip side where you don't have anything to do.
And you're just bored and stir crazy and want to go do something.
Right. And you try to find stuff to do. So.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. This is where I wish I could drive. Unfortunately, I can't.
Me neither. It'd be nice if I could, but
I know. Same. I envy my little sister. She has a car. She's 17 and drives and goes to see her friends and hangs out. And she has a part-time job now. She didn't for a while because of the pandemic. But I try to do nice things for her too, and it's fine. So.
Right. Now, back to OSSB. I keep getting sidetracked, but that's all right.
No problem.
When you walked into OSSB for the first time or first couple times, did you get that overall sense of family feeling?
In some ways, yeah. I think the biggest thing was I really appreciated that there were people that were around me that were just like me. Being the only blind person in my town, I felt really isolated. I'd come to terms with my blindness because of the NFB. I mean, sometimes it's hard just because being blind is not always fun and positive and rainbows and unicorns. But
right, I 100% agree.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think the sense of family and just blind people that I could ask questions of, and just students that have the same or similar experiences as me. I think the only thing that I was really upset about for at least the first maybe year or so was that I didn't understand how certain people had more vision than me, and I just felt extremely upset by all the varying degrees of vision that lots of different people had. But now that I am older, I've come to realize that it's just a part of life and it doesn't make you any more special or any more important. It's a part of who you are, but it shouldn't define you in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And anything you'd like to give, any advice or words of wisdom that you'd give to the 2020 graduating class, whether it be for OSSB or anybody in general?
Oh man. If I had to give one piece of advice, I would say that you only fail if you quit. Failure is a really hard option. I've had a lot of that at Cedarville and just in my life in general. And I would always go back to, oh, I'm not good of a person because I didn't make this, or I didn't get this particular grade or something like that, or like I'm such a failure. And you're only a failure if you quit. And sometimes it takes you a little bit longer to try to find your niche and your place. And so I think just stay the course and don't give up. I know that's really cliche. And, you can be who you want to be if you're blind or sighted or have any specific disability. But I think just don't let other people define you. Like, you are your own best advocate for what you need and what you want. And it's important to stand up for yourself and important to ask for what you want. People may say no, or they may laugh at you because of what you're doing or how you're doing what you're doing, but that shouldn't really matter to you, because ultimately you are in control of your future and no one else is. And I'm really starting to see that a lot as I'm transitioning into graduating here in a few months and moving out on my own, doing my internship, and just applying for work. Not sure what my future plans are. If I'm going to go to grad school, I haven't really decided. Part of me wants to take some time off. Got to find a good job and pay off my student loans and just all the different things. Take one day at a time, and I'm going to take one bite of the elephant at a time. It's progress, whatever you decide to do. And don't beat yourself up, and don't compare yourself or your life to other people's lives, because everyone has a different story and they're all moving at their own different paces. Just because you're moving slower than someone else doesn't mean that you're really bad or you're really far off. It just means that you're still trying to find your place, and sometimes it just may take a while. And that's really hard. And I know that's just kind of cliche sort of advice, but I just feel like everyone really needs to hear that personally, not just the class of 2020.
Right.
But just anyone in their lives.
I agree. Anything else you'd like to add about your OSSB experience that you didn't touch on, or?
I would say that it was just a good experience. I really appreciated all the different orientation and mobility lessons with Mr. Northrup, and just people who really helped me to be a better person, and just the different summer camps and all the experiences I had. So thank you to everyone who made it what it was. And I'm sure that OSSB will continue to be a great school and a great asset for years to come for many students.
Right. And is there any advice that you have for people thinking about sending their blind or visually impaired student to OSSB?
I would say don't listen to just one side of the spectrum. My mom almost listened to the horror stories about OSSB. Thankfully, she didn't. She's a very well-rounded person, and she takes things with a grain of salt and really just tries to look at things from different perspectives rather than just one perspective that someone has. So I would just say, if nothing else, even if you don't send your child to OSSB, I would still go and just observe, do a multi-factored evaluation, do something, talk with people, because if you don't go to OSSB, chances are that they could give you some advice or some different ways of approaching your school for your child's IEP. And if that doesn't work and your child still falls behind or does not receive the proper accommodations like I did, then yes, I would highly recommend going to the School for the Blind.
I would recommend it too. It's definitely one of my favorite places to go back to and visit. It's
so much. Yeah,
it's my
so much
home
has
away
changed.
from home. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, so much has changed since I left. I remember going in 2014 to the help out at the Braille Enrichment for Literacy and Learning Academy that we had at the time at the School for the Blind, and just walking in, and I'm just like, whoa, this is like so much different. And even just going upstairs and looking at where Mr. Kelly's new office is, it's not like you go upstairs and it's right there. No. It's like, this is all so weird and just so different, and it just blows my mind.
Right. That's what happens when you get a new building.
I guess, which I haven't really seen the new building or heard anything about past administration or anything like that. I've been catching up on your podcast and hearing about a certain person that only stayed for a year, and I don't really know much about. So,
Aha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I am out of stuff to ask. Stand by. I'm going to wrap it up, and then we can chat for a couple minutes after.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being on. It's been an honor and a great privilege.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you so much.
If you have anybody who you think would like to be on, send them my way.
I will. I can't think of anyone right now at this point. But I can do some digging and see.
That's quite all right. That's fine.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Stand by. I'm going to wrap it up and we'll chat after. So.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us this week on the podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter by searching for OSSB Inside and Out Podcast. We're there. We're the only ones. Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast app, whether it be iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for being on this episode, Macy. And we will see you, or until then, or until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for joining us this week on OSSB Inside and Out. Make sure to follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching for OSSB Inside and Out Podcast. Make sure you don't miss any future episodes. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. Thank you for listening.